Yes, I've seen it. Who hasn't seen it? Pictures of Obama in Argentina dancing the tango after watching a baseball game. You have not seen it? Okay, good. There's Obama dancing with, looks like professional Argentinian dancers. And Muchel, my belle, was also dancing with a professional male dancer in Argentina, doing the tango. He's celebrating. So here's a guy who first appears underneath a mural image of Che Guevara. That's on purpose. Probably that photo will hang in his presidential library. It'll hang in his own personal library. It'll hang in his house. Probably one of the proudest photos Obama ever has. Picture of him in Cuba underneath the mural of Che Guevara. It's not an unfortunate optic. It was mission accomplished. It's an in-your-face optic. So here's Obama at a baseball game while Brussels burns, and now he's on the dance floor doing the tango in Argentina while terrorism continues to be robust and enhance and express itself in even greater numbers. And this is the transformation he promised. This is exactly what Obama set out to produce here, folks. This kind of chaos, upsetting the old order of things. That's why he's not coming back. He's not upset by it. The views expressed by the host on this show, documented to be almost always right 99.8% of the time. That translates to don't doubt me. Great to have you here. So would you agree with me that we're looking at presidential passivity regarding ISIS? Here's Brussels burning and on fire. And by the way, Brussels is not just a place. Again, Brussels is the headquarters of the World Court. Brussels is the headquarters of NATO. Brussels is the headquarters of the European Union. It was not accidental that ISIS targeted Brussels and the specific areas in Brussels. Brussels is the seat of socialist Europe. Brussels, in many estimates, is nirvana, is utopia. Brussels is the ideal. Brussels is the gathering place for all of the smart people. Brussels is where the sophisticated and the educated and the elite of the world gather to solve all problems. Well, there's also The Hague over there in the Netherlands, but you can't put everything in one basket. But Brussels contains the spot where all of these people of a certain mindset, a certain education, a certain ideological bent, it's where they all go when it's time to get together to plan solutions to international and global events. The best, the brightest, the most sophisticated, the people of the best breeding, people who come from the best families. In some cases in the UK, those from the aristocracy, those from the House of Lords. These are the best and the brightest, the smartest. These are the people who design life for the rest of the people of the world who are not anywhere near qualified. And ISIS hit it. ISIS hit the European Union and the way to get to it. And where is President Obama, who, by the way, looks at Brussels in much the same way I just described? Now, where's Obama? He continued to stay in Cuba, sitting next to Raul Castro at a baseball game. And then it's on to Argentina for flamingo dancing, tangos, and whatever else with the leaders of that country. Total passivity. Total uninterest or disinterest, depending on how you like to use the word. But whatever. It was Alfred E. Newman. What, me worry? I'll send Kerry. That's what I'll do. I'll send Lurch. I'll send my Secretary of State to show that I'm concerned about this. There has been an overall passivity shown toward ISIS by President Obama, whether in the Middle East, and now in Europe. ISIS is moving west, folks. ISIS has no doubt infiltrated our country. We would be fools to not think so. We would be foolish to not realize the possibility, the reality. So we are witnessing worldwide aggression by an expanding terror organization. While the President of the United States, which automatically conferred upon him the leader of the free world, appears to be uninterested, appears to be unconcerned. And I'm not saying this just because he doesn't pick up and leave and go to Brussels or come back to Washington. Certainly that's part of it, but you can tell by listening to him talk about it's just not something that has him concerned. He has never been proactive in taking on ISIS. In fact, he goes to great pains to create optics demonstrating almost a laissez-faire attitude towards all of terrorism. Gets close to saying that people oriented towards stopping terrorism are a little bit extreme. They're a little bit excessive. It's not that bad. We've got to think positive. It's a little pocket of it here, he says, a little pocket of it there. Obama says the world is getting better. The world is getting safer. And everybody scratches their heads. But nobody stops to think of the context in which he makes these statements. The world's getting better. Well, to certain people, all of this happening, and to whom it is happening, could maybe equal the world getting better. What if you happen to believe that Europeans are reprobates because they were colonialists, and they branched out from their home countries in the UK and elsewhere, and went to other parts of the world, the subcontinent? They went to Africa, they went to Australia, and they colonized, and they basically took over, and they imposed themselves on otherwise sovereign peoples. And what if you have harbored a deep-seated resentment for that from the first day you were taught about it? And what if ISIS attacking Europe, and what about massive Islamic extremist immigration in Germany and Sweden and Denmark? What if you think that is the world getting better? What if you think that's the kind of thing that equals payback that has been long overdue, that these colonialists need to find out what it feels like to be invaded by people from other places who are trying to make the place their own? What if you happen to think that this get even with them mentality does equal the world getting better? You look at the Middle East. President Obama is molding the Middle East far more than George W. Bush ever dreamed of. And he's molding Europe far more than Harry Truman ever dreamed of. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, George W. Bush goes into Iraq. The stated objective here is to convert it to a democracy. The belief by George W. Bush is that all human beings are all human beings, and that we all have things in common. And one of those things is the yearning to be free, that none of us want to be living in dominion. We don't want to be living in tyranny. We don't want to be controlled. We all want to be in charge of our own lives. And George W. Bush, much of a religious view, believed that if we could simply establish an outpost of democracy in the Middle East, that it could spread by showing the people of the Middle East what's possible, that freedom and liberty and economic advancement is possible. Many people poo-pooed the policy, just like they poo-pooed the notion that the people of the Soviet Union could once be free because they never had been, didn't know what to do with it. Big mistake to turn them loose and make them free. I remember that after the Berlin Wall fell. A lot of people think that Bush had the exactly wrong objective here, but nevertheless, he had the objective. My point to you is that George Bush and his effort to mold the Middle East is being dwarfed by Obama's effort to mold the Middle East. Look who happens to be taking over the Middle East. We just did a nuke deal with the Iranians under the premise that it's simply nuclear power and a nation seeks to modernize its power grid. But in fact, everyone knows they're on their way to getting a nuclear weapon, and we have paid for it, and we have sanctioned it. We unfroze their assets. They have $150 billion to do with whatever they want that they didn't have. Buy new airplanes for their airline to go out and sponsor terrorism in other parts of the world, what have you. But all of this made possible by Barack Obama. You look at Egypt, any number of places in the Middle East, ISIS is on the march. Rudy Giuliani was on Fox News last night. Bill O'Reilly said Hillary Clinton helped found this Islamic State. Hillary Clinton actually is a founding member of the Islamic State. He said, if you're talking about and we've got the soundbite coming up, he said, if you're talking about doing what she wants to do, which is to rally our forces against ISIS, you've got to come back to the White House. You've got to sit in the Situation Room. You can't leave until you come up with a plan. He said, Obama doesn't want to rally anybody. She had her chance to do it. She helped create ISIS, Giuliani says. I mean, Hillary Clinton could be considered a founding member of ISIS by virtue of their policy in Iraq. We cleared out. We got out of there. We got out of the Middle East. We have cleared the field for ISIS. And they're on the march in the Middle East. Now they're on the march in Europe. And Obama is in Cuba, and he's in Argentina, and he's just having the grandest time. And I know it's his last year, therefore the last year of his term, and he knows that he's not the focal point of the news right now. So it's just time to enjoy life. And in the process, if a bunch of people who were colonized years ago against their will are now striking back at their great oppressors, well, hey, payback's a B.I. itch, they say. But I would maintain, over the course of his presidency, Obama's created ideal environments for terrorism. Withdrew troops in Iraq to the benefit of ISIS. Bombed Libya, leaving it wide open for terrorists. Now Hillary claiming that as a major foreign policy achievement. But Libya is a disaster which led to Benghazi, which led to, 4 dead Americans. Obama created and encouraged massive numbers of refugees to essentially invade Europe. A similar invasion is happening in this country, and the numbers continue to increase each and every year, and Obama has made not one serious effort to stop it, and in fact, anybody who does step up and try to stop it, Obama tries to stop them. State of Arizona as a glaring example. None of this is accidental. None of this is happenstance. None of this is just the normal evolution of the human condition on Earth. This is the result of policy preferences. After withdrawing troops from Iraq to the benefit of ISIS after bombing Libya, Obama created and encouraged massive numbers of refugees to invade Europe. He didn't lift a finger in Syria. He lifted sanctions in Iran, is doing the same thing now for yet another communist/terror regime in Cuba. Here at home, he has refused to protect our borders. He has waged a war on the police. He has encouraged sanctuary cities to continue protecting criminals. And let's look seriously at Hillary Clinton and her email situation. Everything that the Democrat Party, the American left, and Barack Obama stand for is wrapped up in this case. How many people have you run into who know the facts, who know what the FBI has amassed, the reams and reams of evidence? We've all heard the stories. The FBI has got her. There is all kinds of evidence just waiting to happen, and if it doesn't happen, half the FBI is walking out. We've heard this from 3 different credible sources with FBI Justice Department experience. And yet, how many people do you know, just in your everyday walk in life, who's nothing's going to happen to Hillary? Are you kidding? You really think that this Lynch babe, the attorney general, is going to indict Hillary? Come on. You think the Democrats are going to destroy their presidential? Come on. What about the rule of law? And when you hear people's rule of law, it doesn't matter to these people. What a moment. The rule of law is all that holds us together, folks. Respect for and honoring the rule of law, and look at how many people think that politics, political loyalty, political objectives will trump the rule of law in the Hillary email case. I have to take a break. Think about that. I mean, that's really sober. To give you an indication of just how far gone we are under this administration. Back after this. Don't go.